Greetings everyone, this is Luke Elijah, welcome to my talk show. I'm here in the cozy and comfortable Chiro Lounge situated in the Bugis district of Singapore, right? And my charming video guest here today with me is none other than Dr. Brian Manalastas, who is an amazing chiropractor. He has the beautiful and amazing ability to be able to assist you with lots of your health issues like your back problems, your shoulder aches, your headaches, spinal injuries, slip discs, and lots more, right? And he can have just by analyzing and looking at your posture within seconds, he'll be able to diagnose your problem and be able to fix it very quickly, just with a few twists and turns, right? So I've seen him at work, I was very amazed, and that's why he's my guest here today. Welcome to my show, Brian, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Could you share with the audience a little bit about your history and your background, how you became a chiropractor?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you again for having me, first of all. Well, for me as a chiropractor, a lot of times people that are in this profession, they've known for years and since they were born that this is what they wanted to do. For me, it started a little bit different. I was always involved in sports as a child, and so when I got into high school is when I started experiencing a lot of injuries, playing a little bit more competitively, playing a lot more through different seasons. And so at that time, my dad was already seeing a chiropractor for the things that people come to see me for. A lot of back issues, if they were ever to go down with different injuries or car accidents or whatever thing was at that stage affecting their comfort levels or their pain levels, really.
Yes.
And so it was quite natural. My dad saw me and I was playing, whether it was cross country or track or whether we were in season for basketball, there was a lot of chronic back issues that would continue to come back. And again, at a young age, so whether it was I was 15, 16, 17, starting to see a chiropractor. And they would just fix me up, and I didn't think much of it, but they would always say, get adjusted, and then rest, and then let your body heal, and then get back to what you want to do. But of course, as a kid, it was just get adjusted, get back to practice. So I had to chronically go back. Got a lot of relief, was able to perform a lot better, but didn't think much of it. And then when I got up into college, again, I was still competitive with sports, and always knew that I wanted to do something active.
Yes.
So my major in college was kinesiology, and I studied exercise physiology and human movement. And graduating, I kind of wasn't really sure what direction to go. Physiotherapy, sports medicine. And then one day I actually was just walking by campus and a chiropractor happened to be there. And again, it was something I hadn't been kind of interacting with for a while, being out of, my dad was paying for my care before, so I wasn't continuing to go to a chiropractor. So this gentleman was there, and this doctor kind of brought us all in and showed, again, what you can do with adjustments, how you can help people. And that's kind of how I got my start of seeing, hey, I can still be involved in a physical way. I can still help people that also want to remain physical, which becomes the main premise of what we do now, improving the quality of life. And then from there, it was just a matter of, okay, let's go through the stages of what I need to do and really learn how I need to educate people about staying healthy, staying active, in addition to getting adjusted. And that's kind of how I launched into this profession.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story. Because especially if you lead an active lifestyle, you're very vulnerable in this. You definitely at some point you will injure yourself in some place, and your body will ache, and you need some form of therapy, right? So we need people like you to assist sporty, active athletes, and so that we can continue to live a healthy and active lifestyle. Correct.
Yeah.
I think for the most people, including myself, that we actually have a lot of misconception. We're confused. What is the difference between a chiropractor, an osteopath, as well as a physiotherapist? Are they interchangeable, or are they distinct occupations?
Yeah, that's another great question. A lot of people always do have confusion. Who's the best, or who has the best solution or treatment? So kind of to really sum it up, I always tell people, I don't ever disregard another profession, or especially another healing profession,
yes,
whether it be a physio or an osteopath. In saying that, my patients know if they like going and doing certain things, and if they have benefits, then continue to do it along with chiropractic. But really, to summarize the difference, I wouldn't say that they're interchangeable. They can be blended together, definitely. But the reason why each, or how you kind of set each of them apart is very simple. In terms of physiotherapy, what a lot of patients will go there for is either for rehabilitation, or they'll go for specific symptoms, whether it be maybe a shoulder issue or a hip issue or a knee issue. And physiotherapists are very, very skilled, right? They're skilled at making sure that they understand certain imbalances potentially in your muscles, and they're very great at finding ways to minimize or reduce the levels of pain you might experience on a daily basis. But the one thing that they don't specialize in is sometimes the structure which might be at fault for creating some of the issues. So I'll elaborate in that in just a little bit. As we jump over to the osteopath side, same thing. A lot of what they want to do is to create mobilization for the body, which inherently also does help, because movement, of course, is the key for all healing to take place. So they do a lot of general manipulation, and I would almost say gross manipulation, meaning that they adjust or manipulate a lot of the body. So you take those two things and then you add chiropractic in, and for us, one of the major differences, we actually specialize just in adjusting. As we talked earlier, all chiropractors will go through a heavy regimen in their schooling, which is very similar to medical schooling, which is something a lot of people don't recognize.
Yes.
But the first couple of years is very, very regimented into the sciences and understanding how you're gonna learn these things to be able to pass your board exams. But for the last couple of years of our schooling, it's all hands-on. And our specialty, if you don't mind me showing you, our specialty goes into correcting alignment of the spine. So the difference between us and a physio, for example, is sometimes they say physiotherapists also provide adjustments. And it's very different because when they go to school, they learn a lot about the movements and the stretching and the strengthening and imbalances. And then they might spend a very, very, very little portion of their time, maybe a few seminars, learning how to adjust. Whereas for us, before we can even graduate, we have to spend years learning how to correct misalignments and any damage in the spine. And also we have to spend a couple of years just learning the technique behind it. So the difference, I would say, you can kind of break it down like this. If a person, for example, and just pretend that this is straight. If a person's spine is supposed to be straight and the spine, for example, is bent, structurally that's definitely going to create a lot of imbalance in the muscle and the ligaments.
The organs as well.
The organs as well, definitely. And that's another part that people don't really pay attention to. But to keep it a little bit simple for people, I say, yeah, if you have this, you're going to have ligaments that are tight to protect the structure. You're also going to have muscles that are tight to protect the structure. And physiotherapists might work on stretching and relaxing those elements so that you do get a little bit of relief. And then for us, all we very simply do is continue to provide gentle adjustments until we actually see correction in the alignment and in the posture. And we don't really focus other places. Now again, the difference for an osteopath is if you have this tension and stiffness, they might adjust everything from the top to the bottom. And not to say that it's not a good strategy for movement, but sometimes when you correct things that don't need to be corrected, you don't actually get the effect you want. Similarly, when you don't correct the root of the problem, you also don't get the answer that you want as well.
So am I right to say that you focus on correcting and fixing the root problem, the root cause,
Yes.
rather than just treating the surface symptom?
Exactly, yeah. We and as I talk with all the patients, when they come in and I set their expectations, it's never about the symptom. It's always about what you mentioned earlier. When I do the analysis, this is the strategy to correct the rotations or the tilts or the bending or twisting of the spine. And that's what we focus on most.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
I was really amazed of how quick you can diagnose someone just quickly. Take a quick look and you really could assess what the issues are, right? Why do you think that so many people have lower back ache problems and shoulder pains? How can they prevent it? And if they already have the onset of those symptoms, what can you do to assist them to relieve and alleviate their pain?
Yeah, good question again. So a lot of times when people come to see the chiropractor, again, as we mentioned, it's mostly because of pain. So neck issues, shoulder issues, back issues, or slip disc. And as I mentioned to everyone when I consult with them, I say, these symptoms are a great thing, right? It's really just our indication that we have a lot of the
warning system.
Yeah, it's a warning system for a lot of the wrong habits that we have. Unfortunately, 99.9% of the population has the wrong habits, and one of the major ones happens to be sitting. Another one of the major ones happens to be our lifestyle, right? So I'll kind of break down some of those things. When we sit too long, one of the things I like for people to understand is no matter what, your weight, the stress of your body, the stress of your limbs has to go somewhere. And for that matter, when we sit, all of it goes into your spine, right? Now, in addition to the spine, people also forget that we stay glued to the earth thanks to gravity. So it's not like we just sit and it's just the weight of the body. It's the weight of the body plus gravity coming down and compressing it. So how I help people understand this is that further compounds the issue. If you had good posture, you would have an issue. But if you have poor posture, it becomes an even worse issue, yeah? So in showing how the spine works, normally there should be 3 curves. And what those 3 curves will do when you sit, it'll help you absorb some of that weight, but only for so long. When we start to change the posture, what that does is it just creates increased stress or increased damage on the body. So slowly over time, the body continues to break down. The average person, I would think, I do a lot of corporate talks, and they say on average at work, they sit at least somewhere between 6 to 8 hours. On a bad side, they're sitting about 9 to 10 hours, right? Then when they go home, the first thing they do is sit again. So they're always compressing the spine. So sitting posture plus this lifestyle really, really compounds the issues that we have. But maybe to illustrate, make it easier for people to see, I just mentioned how the body should have curves. And so it should look something similar to this. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's very clear. But when we sit for a long period of time, what ends up happening is that we actually change what these curves look like. And so when I show people, it's crazy because a curve that's like this sometimes ends up looking like this. So to demonstrate for you guys, a curve that should be healthy like this, because of sitting, sometimes starts to look like this. And that's just the neck. And this is the structure that then creates neck issues. If we lose the curve in the lower spine, also creates the back issues, right? I guess further to go on from this, I brought a couple different things that will help to illustrate this. A lot of the major culprits, so as you probably know, staying very mobile. A lot of people have decided that they like to use iPads, right? I have one myself, I use it when I need to take notes, but for the most part, when people play with these things, they're usually playing games, and they look like this. And
it's unconscious, not even aware that their posture is being molded to be this time because of habit.
Yes, it's habit, and this happens to be the most comfortable position, right? So when I tell people, wait, actually you could change this and modify and do it this way, well, number one, it becomes effort to do it. Secondly, when they're playing their game, they feel like they're in an inadvantageous position. Yeah, their arms are tired, their shoulders are tired, so they automatically default into this.
Without even realizing.
Danger. Yeah, and then all of a sudden there's increased stress, increased weight of the neck. Because this starts to get tired, the rest of the back starts to get tired. And then somehow we end up like this, right? So you start to see how the mechanism creates the low back issues, the neck issues. That's just the iPad. So if you don't use an iPad, you're still not off the hook. A lot of people have these other contraptions, so like the iPhones, just as guilty. And I have one of these, but at the same time, luckily I know the positions to put it in, right?
Yes.
But it's the same thing. If people don't have an iPad, they'll be chatting, or they'll be playing their games, or texting each other, or whatever it happens to be.
Yes.
And this also becomes a major source of the posture problem, right? I mean, if you look at people on the bus or the MRT, you'll see this all
Everyone's doing it. Because there's no awareness. Right. So thank you for highlighting that. I think that was very useful. I'm going to try to start to gaze at my mobile now.
Good luck with it.
Right. Dr. Brian, could you share with us some of the unique and specialized services and treatments that your clinic and yourself offers?
Definitely. So for myself, a lot of chiropractors do a lot of different things. Most people, when they go to a chiropractor, they're like, oh, you're just going to crack my back or crank my neck. And actually, we kind of get a bad rap for those things. Those things are somewhat important. But what I've trained a lot of my doctors to do, so a couple things I'll go over. One is our style of adjusting, which always starts with posture-based adjusting. So because of the habits that we have, if you just crack the bones, right? And this is why sometimes an osteopath won't get the results they want.
Yes.
If you just crack the bones, you're going to get a little bit of relief.
Yes.
But if you never change the posture, and if you never educate them on the habits that they need to keep the posture changed, well then of course the problems just continue to come back.
Yes.
So we always start our adjustments with posture-based adjustments. And we literally, you know, as you've seen some of those testimonials, we've seen people that, for example, they sit like this, or their alignment is like this, and over a period of like 6 weeks, all of a sudden they shift right back to normal. We have people that come in, they stand or like this or sit like this, and again 6 weeks later they stand like this. And that's not from cracking bones and cranking the neck around. It's really from very strategic posture-based adjusting done over time. In addition to manual adjusting to give the people a little bit of relief, that actually changes the alignment. So that's one strategy that we use. To complement the adjusting, I also was trained in clear method of scoliosis adjusting. So what they do is very conceptually, they look at the alignment of the spine, and based on the way that things are twisted or tilted, there are very specific adjustments for that. I'll just give you a quick example. It might not make a lot of sense, but I'll try to just demonstrate it very easily. Sometimes when we see people's pelvis tilted this way, again, if you go other places, they may stretch the muscles, they may exercise the muscles, they may try to get some things to loosen up. An osteopath might just adjust everything. But for me, I've taught all my doctors, when you see specific presentations, there's a specific adjustment that needs to take place. And so for something that happens like this, there would be a specific adjustment to this hip bone and a very specific adjustment for this hip bone to start to balance it out, right? And that's something that we've studied over time to be able to provide really, really, really great results for patients. Yeah. And then I think another couple of things that we do that are quite unique is our education that we want people to get. Number one, about being healthy, about methods of staying healthy. If they have issues with their health, what is the major culprit? So for me, that major culprit, I won't go into too much detail, is inflammation. So how do we minimize that through adjusting? How do we minimize that through your nutrition? And how do we minimize it through exercise? Yeah, if I can add one more point, I would say the one major thing that we've done is different is I've really changed the philosophy about how people need to be adjusted, the frequency of adjustments, because that's a major thing. So kind of to get into that, a lot of times people will know that if you see a chiropractor, they have to spend thousands of dollars and they have to go quite frequently. In fact, that's one of the major reasons sometimes people don't want to go to a chiropractor. They're like, oh, so much time. I have other commitments, but my chiropractor says I have to see him 3 times a week. In fact, this is why my very sister lives in the States, didn't want to go, so I don't have time for all that. What I've noticed over time about the profession is that because of clinics wanting to grow, they've almost bullied people into care, and they show, this is what your spine looks like, this is really bad, you need to see me this much. And in fact, it's actually created a lot of stress for people that literally just want to get healthy. And to be honest, I've even heard of chiropractors that say, well, if you can't do the schedule, I just can't accept you as a patient. And I thought that was just ridiculous because, we're here to serve people, and here's our chiropractors that are saying, we're just not going to take you in because you won't do what I want you to do. Yes. And that's just not how people need to heal. They need to be reassured. They need to know and be supported. They need to know that whatever is going to work best for you, we have to find the match and the compromise. And so the major thing I think that's different for us is that we've created a membership program that really allows people to, not only is it financially makes sense because they don't spend thousands of dollars up front.
Yes, for sure. His prices are truly affordable. Thank goodness for you, Dr. Brian, because like I say, we need more ethical, frank, honest, and truly wholesome people like yourself in the healing profession. It's not enough of it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's tough because there's the business side of it.
Yes.
But what I've realized by creating this style of program, actually the entire family could come in to see me versus, I used to have it and let's say a mom, a husband, and their child would come in and they all had their own specific health issues.
Yes.
And then, we would lay out the finances and then you would see on their faces, well, yours isn't that serious, mine is a bit more, and yours is kind of serious. And actually, in fact, everyone is suffering but only one person can afford it. And I said, that's just terrible. We can't have a healing profession that then segregates against people that can't afford this level of care.
Yes.
So we've had to change that, and we've been very creative, and it took a while. It took some time to develop the programs that we wanted, but what we found is that entire families, whether it be the mom and the husband and the kids and their grandparents, are finally able to get the results they want. So that was something that was quite unique for us, and I didn't know how it would work in the beginning, but working with my business partner who's very, very crafty, we just found the strategies that really work out for us.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Could you share with us perhaps one or two success stories of yours?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the fun ones that I always try to highlight to people is one of our patients. His name is Mr. Chan, and he started with us when he was 71. He came into us because he was the father of a patient that she had 3 babies at the time, and so always had a lot of back issues and neck issues and mid-back issues. And then she said to me, do you think my dad can benefit? He's older, he's got scoliosis, hip issues, knee issues. And I said, sure. What we do is quite natural. There's no drugs, there's no medication, there's no surgery. At the very least, we're gonna get him a little bit healthier.
Yes.
At the very best, he's gonna do great. And so he came in and he was quite skeptical, and so I said, look, this is the plan I recommend. Because of where he was at, I said, you should come twice a week, at least for the first 6 weeks. And he wouldn't do it. I said, well, I do my reviews at 12 visits.
Yes.
So try to get there within 6 weeks. It took him 16 weeks. So he just didn't hold to the schedule, but he got amazing change, and so much so that he said, I'm gonna start coming twice a week now. And he started coming in twice a week, and he's now with us for 3 years, and he comes once a week, and sometimes he comes up to twice or 3 times a week because our membership allows the amount of visits is easy for him to do. So over the time, what I've really loved about this is when he comes in, he tells us a number. So sometimes in the past, it's been like 30 or 40. The other day, he told Dr. Katie, 56. There's 56 stairs that he climbed that day because he never used to go beyond 2 flights of stairs. And so that was a really, really great one.
It's a huge improvement.
Huge improvement.
Yes.
And he's 73 years old, and so the beauty is that, people always think, I'm old, forget it, it's not gonna make a difference. And I always tell people the body is designed to heal. So as long as we as long as we have the intention to heal and you have the spirit to heal,
the will
to heal, then we'll definitely find that great balance. So again, whether it's 10% or in some cases even 70, 80%, the quality of life drastically changes.
What I like about your profession is really an alternative form of natural holistic healing, and because there's no surgery, there's no medicine or chemicals or the bad stuff, right? Anyone from babies all the way to someone in 70s and 80s can still benefit.
Yeah,
right? So it's a very wide spectrum range.
Sure. Huge. And maybe just to follow up on that, we have had a couple kids, babies of course, that have come in. One in particular, he came in and when he was born, he had no suckling reflex. So he couldn't feed. So immediately there was tubes in his mouth since he was born. And he also, the doctors thought he was blind, and they also thought he was deaf, he couldn't hear, he had no reflexes whatsoever. And I did a corporate talk, I went to this school, and the mother asked and said, hey, do you think that there's something that chiropractic can do? And my answer will always be, of course, because it's so natural, there's really no harm in at least trying. Well, after we left, I was like, maybe we bit off a little bit more than we could chew. I was like, I'm pretty confident we can do something for the baby, but the limitation, maybe we would run into a hurdle. So in any case, the baby came in, and Dr. Katie started working with this baby for weeks, actually. And prior to that, they were going to about 5 or 6 different specialists for the movements, the senses, things like that. And Dr. Katie simply started adjusting through the pelvis, started adjusting through the neck, and very, very gentle stuff. Within a few weeks, what they noticed was that all of a sudden there was some kind of visual reflex, some tangible visual reflex, which was great. And then the baby started wanting to roll over onto its tummy. So a lot of movements actually started to improve as well. The head started getting stronger. And so what was happening now, we were progressing towards maybe we can start getting some of the feeding tubes out, right? In any case, that was the story, just a very brief one of babies that can enjoy care with us. But we've had others, babies that have torticollis or stiff neck, developmental issues, breathing issues that have all benefited as well.
Yeah, lots of stuff can be treated, with your practice. Could you perhaps share with the audience how may they reach and contact you? Where can they go to find out and learn more about you, or to book a consultation with you?
Yeah, definitely. You can always find us through our website, which is at www.chirolounge.com.
Or click on the link below.
Click on the link there as well. That's always good. We have another one that we also try to educate people more about. Our website is called spineplace.com. And of course, if people want to reach me, they can always find me on Facebook, just under my name, Brian G. Manalastas. And people are always leaving me messages about the benefits of chiropractic care, certain conditions that we can help them with. And I'm very happy to, if you guys have questions or comments or need me to share about different stories that have been successful, please feel free to drop me messages and we can communicate through there.
Thank you, that was very comprehensive. Well, I'm going to place all the links here below this video, so do feel free to seek Dr. Brian. He's the best person to go to, right? I mean, I met many healers in my line of work, and I really resonate with you, and I'm grateful for you. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video, and see you in my next video.
Thank you.